this is the place for another episode of the Let's Go Eat and Drink Show with Jimmy Santangelo and Bill Allred. This episode comes to you from one of the most unique dining spots in the Salt Lake Valley, La Caille. La Caille, just maybe the most iconic dining and wining spot in Utah. La Caille is a 20-acre estate at the mouth of Cottonwood Canyon in Sandy. And La Caille has its own vineyard. La Caille owns its own grapevines. And La Caille makes its own wine from those very same grapes. Mike Marron has been fermenting wine since he was 10 years old when he tried to ferment some apple and grape juice. He planted Pinot Noir grapes behind his childhood home in 1977, and he still uses those grapes to make wine to this day. And now, here are Jimmy and Bill with Mike Marron.
All right. So what I love about these wines, Bill and Dawson, is that these grapes are grown right here that we're going to talk about. But for me, that's like super exciting, you know, to have that. It's awesome.
Utah grapes.
I was getting beat up, Mike, by some folks from Nevada this past week, and I did a wine event in their home, and they insisted that the wines that I was serving didn't have any wine in it. I'm like, this wine is from California. What do you think we do, de-alkalize it? But it got so silly in their repetition and constant asking about it. It was just like, at one point, I thought they were actually serious. It was obnoxious at a certain point, but nonetheless. All right. Dawson, do you got everything filming and your cameras are going?
We're rolling.
Down the hill.
All right. Well,
How do you know if your cameras are rolling? Does it?
the red light is
blink
on.
red.
The red light? All right.
And it blinks.
Sure.
Yep, and I
And
can
it
turn them
plays.
on and off from the phones if they mess up.
Thanks, brother.
So simple as that. And this is exciting. We're sitting here in one of the iconic dining spots in Utah, probably in the West. I would dare say that there are people from other states who know of La Caille and come here, make pilgrimages here. This is a unique spot, and we're here with Mike Marron, who's the winemaker here at La Caille, and we're going to be talking wine and food and
all good things.
But this is Mike. Thanks for having us. First of all,
well, thanks for thinking of coming up to La Caille. We love to have you up here and see what we have to offer. And we've done so many improvements to the property over the last 10 years that most newcomers to La Caille are really quite shocked what we have up here. So,
yeah, I mean, I haven't been here in more than 10 years probably, and I'm not sure why. I just haven't, and I walked in and I went, now wait a minute. Well, it's
Changed a little, yeah. Evolved.
Hi, it's been, how long has La Caille been here?
it first opened in '74, and the current owner bought it in 2011. And he's owned it since, put in lots of improvements, as you can see.
Yeah, it was closed for a while, wasn't it?
No, it didn't actually ever.
Never actually closed.
No, he bought it when the restaurant was still operating, so it didn't close.
Okay.
There's residences I saw on the way up. There's homes, driveways. And
Yeah, we have two large homes. One's called the Chalet, the other one's called the Chateau. And the Chalet individual lives there year round. Then we have another little property down by the chateau that's called the Cabin. We rent that out, and the cottage, an Airbnb type rental.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really? That's nice. I mean, that would be a nice getaway just from downtown Salt Lake.
Yeah, it is, and the chateau it's a huge structure. I think it's about 8,000 square feet, and it has 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and we rent that out for parties up to about 50 people, and then you can stay overnight too.
Well, that makes sense. If you're having a wedding here or something like that, then you have that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. How many acres are we sitting on here?
We have 23.
23 acres, and you've got how many acres of grapes, vineyard?
4.
4 acres of grapes, and you make your own wine from those grapes.
We do. We take care of the vineyards, which is just east of us, from start to finish. The wine's made here. The winery's on the property. So we could outside of the United States, we could say this is an estate winery, but in the United States won't let us do it because there's not an AVA, an American Viticulture Area, established. So Utah is a area of origin, so we have to just call it Utah wine. But it's all, every drop's made on this property.
Well, let's raise a glass to that because I can't have a glass of wine in front of me without holding it.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks very much for. Now tell us, what is this wine we're?
So this is made from, we have a trade name for this wine. It's called Enchanté. And it's made from Saval grapes, 100% grown at La Caille, 100% Saval. It's made in what I refer to as a French style, which would be high acid, full-bodied, virtually no residual sugar. This might be the driest wine you've ever tasted.
It's quite dry, yes.
But floral and aromatic to boot.
The nose is incredible on this wine.
Yeah, it is.
Very feminine perfume, wildflower. Oh man, food wine. This is good.
It's great for food.
Yeah. So talk about the process. How, for instance, from grape to wine, is it all done right here?
All done here. Yep. Starts out in the vineyard. In fact, we just started to prune our vineyard for what's referred to as the winter pruning in the viticulture business. We pruned it. It'll be finished probably in about a week. Normally, we have when the buds break. That's a big event in wine growing. That'll be usually here. We get it between the first and second week of May.
That's when the buds come out.
The buds break out. That's referred to as bud break. Then after bud break, the grapes obviously start growing pretty rapidly. And then flowering takes place. That's when the flowers open up. They get pollinated to turn into the future grapes. That happens about the middle to the third week of June normally. Every year is a little different. And then we babysit them all summer long. Watch, we give them just enough water to keep them growing. We have a drip system, but we don't give them too much water because they don't like that. And we usually harvest, the earliest we've ever harvested is about the 28th or 9th of August. The latest was the 23rd, I think, of September. So it's usually, give or take a week from Labor Day.
How long does it take to harvest that amount of grapes?
Takes a long time.
You hand pick them.
They're all hand picked. We have a lot of the people that work at La Caille come help out. We have some customers that like to come help out. And it's really...
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's enjoyable for the first tub or two.
Yeah.
And then after that, it becomes work.
Yeah. And then how long before you stomp on them?
Well, it would be nice to say if we stomp on them, but we actually use a press. We press them. But we bring them, we pick them, we stop picking, we start picking at 7 a.m. We usually stop around 10 or 11 because we don't want to pick it when they're too hot. And then we press them. It usually takes us, the longest it's ever been is 5 days. Normally it's about 3 days to press them and get them in our tank.
What's the brick level that year?
So it's the lowest they've ever been, and it all depends on the acid balance. Primarily, you have to have the right sugar acid balance, or the grapes, the wine's just not going to be palatable. So they most likely, they're usually right around 23 bricks, which is...
So you got about, what is this, like 13 and a half?
So this one is, I believe this is 13.2.
Nice.
13.3.
Such good balance and acidity in this wine. It's amazing.
And then it goes into barrels.
No, we once we press the grapes, we don't crush them. We just press them, the whole clusters. It goes into a stainless steel tank.
Okay.
It's temperature controlled. It ferments in there for anywhere from 60 to 90 days. And we don't use any oak on this wine. It's just done in stainless steel.
Okay. And then, is it ready to drink at that point?
No. There's some more processes it has to go through, natural aging processes before you taste it. I taste it every other week out of the tank to see how it's progressing. And when I've determined it's to this style, what you have in front of you,
it's very good.
Then we bottle it.
Is it sitting on the lees that whole time, the 60 to 90?
Yeah, it's still fermenting.
Explain what that means, Jimmy.
It's still fermenting. Okay.
So yes, it's still fermenting.
So that's a
during
slow,
that time period.
low and slow.
We ferment it at 59 degrees. So it takes a little bit, but that's why you have the nice nose on
Yeah.
it specifically to keep those floral.
So these are
aromas
the
in.
dead yeast. I thought maybe it was after fermentation took place, then Mike kept the wine in contact with the dead yeast just to get that creaminess and texture. But no, it's from
we
long.
actually, what you said, is, sorry for interrupting you.
No, yeah, please.
So we, once the fermentation is done, then I leave it on what the lees, which at that point in time they referred to as the gross lees, because it's everything in there, including some, grape pumice.
Yep.
And it stays on that for, it depends, anywhere from 2 months to, I think the longest it's ever been 6 months. And there again, it depends on the taste and
Nice.
the aroma. Then
That's where you're getting that texture. That's fantastic.
Then we rack it. Racking means just transfer from one vessel to another. So once I've determined it's been on the gross lees long enough, we rack it to another container, and it continues to settle out to what's called fine lees. And then it stays on the fine lees until it's bottled for reasons Jimmy just said. It gives it a little bit more body, some creaminess. So if you bottled it as soon as fermentation was over, and you had these two wines side by side, they wouldn't even taste the same.
Really?
You wouldn't believe it.
And then, but once it's in the bottle, then you could immediately open the bottle and drink it, or does it have to stay in there for a while?
Well, sometimes, depending upon our inventory levels, we sell it within maybe a month after bottling. I like to let it sit for at least 2 to 3 to get what's called bottle bouquet, and it just makes the wine a little happier when it's been in a bottle for a while. So normally it's 3 months.
About 3. So the whole process is pretty. It's quite involved, and it takes you watching it the whole time. Talk about Mike. Talk about your past. How in the world did you get into doing this?
Well, to be honest with you, I really don't know. I was from a young age. I was just fascinated with grapes. I don't know, what was it, the way they look or whatever, but
You like to eat grapes?
I like to eat grapes. I like the way grapevines look. And so I just started, making wine at home from like grape juice, frozen grape juice.
How old were you when you were doing that?
I think the first time I ever tried fermenting some Welch's grape juice, I was probably about maybe 12.
12 years old.
12 years old.
12-year-old.
I didn't
Something really
but
drew
I
you
didn't,
to it.
I
That's
didn't
crazy.
I didn't really, back in that point in time, I didn't really taste it. I just would, I really used to just kind of like making it and watching it ferment, smelling it as it changed. And then my dad would taste it, and it wasn't really, so we'd dump it out. But that's when I started doing that. And then I started making wine from kits you can buy.
Right, yeah, I've
concentrated.
seen that.
I did that for a while, and that wine was okay, but it was still, not really worth the amount of time it took. And there again, my dad would say, that's not too.
Now, was your dad? Did he know wine a little bit?
No, he didn't really. His whole consumption of alcoholic beverages was maybe 6 beers throughout the whole summer, a little Canadian whiskey with my uncles time to time, and then around the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, some red wine with dinner. But that was about it. So really, I don't
Not
know.
a connoisseur.
No. And then I thought, well, I have a piece of land in my backyard that was not used for anything, my parents' backyard, and I thought I'll just see if I can grow some wine grapes. So I did some research about temperatures in our area and the elevation and everything, and ordered some grapevines from a place in Napa, and I planted them in 75, some Pinot Noirs and some Cabernet. And my daughter lives in that house now, and I still make wine from those grapes.
Really?
So
You're,
they've been growing a long time.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that is
Hey,
fantastic.
That must have been just thrilling for you to see those first grapes that you planted yourself grow. It must have been a.
Oh, it was, and it's really surprising that they're still, that's been a long time. They're still producing good grapes. And then
That's in the Rose Park area, is it?
no, it's on the east bench of Salt Lake.
Oh, excuse me.
Just
Okay,
below Foothill
Got it.
Boulevard.
nice.
And how many bottles of wine can you get out of the grapes from your backyard or your old house?
I get about 60 bottles a year, which my wife always tells me it's not worth the work it takes.
What do you do with it?
I drink it.
What, all of it?
Yeah, I let it age for usually 3 or 4 years in the bottle, and then I share it with my friends and my family. But 60 bottles of wine is, in the scheme of things, is
not that much.
Not that much.
How many bottles of wine do you get out of the vineyards here at La Caille?
And that's a different story. So we get approximately, give or take, 2,800 a year.
And does it go into the liquor store?
It doesn't.
I didn't think it did.
We don't. Our production is so small that we choose. We have what's called a package agency here, a state package agency, so people can come up and buy our wine, and we sell it to the restaurant and then to individuals who come up. But we just sell everything we make, so we choose not to do that.
Yeah, so people who come up here for dinner and they have some of your house wine and really like it, they say, "Can I buy a bottle or two and take it home with me?"
That's how it works.
Yeah. This is fascinating. So you went on to a huge career as a winemaker, right?
For Utah, this is huge.
You just kept progressing, and that was what you've done all your life, is make wine?
Well, I was in the banking business for 30 odd years, and then a good friend of mine who also likes wine, he is friends with the fellow that bought the place in 11, and in 2015, he called me up and said, "Well, we want to start getting our vineyard going again, and we want to make some wine, and if you want to do it, you can come and do it." And I had just recently retired from the bank, so it all worked out.
Did you plant additional vineyards on the south side of the building here?
We did. We planted maybe slightly less than a quarter acre 5 years ago of some more Dornfelder that we make our rosé and our red wine from. And then on the east side of the vineyard, you can see from our location here, last year we planted another acre of the Dornfelder grapes as well.
Is the rosé that you have presented here the Dornfelder?
It's Dornfelder and Saval, a blend.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So did you ever have any formal training, or did you just learn this on your own?
I had a lot of chemistry in school, so that's helped me a lot. And I ordered a textbook on viticulture and a textbook on winemaking from UC Davis, which at the time was the only wine school in the United States, and I just started reading them.
And
so I'm self-taught. So
and here you are.
Here I am.
It's just a remarkable story, I think, that a 12-year-old kid wants to ferment some grape juice. I wish you could pinpoint for me where that came from.
My mom says that she thinks it came from my uncle. My mom's side of the family were from Yugoslavia. She grew up in Park City, and one of her uncle George, he used to make wine, as did many immigrants back in those days. They buy grapes and make wine every year because that's what they're used to drinking with. And she thinks that I got it from him.
My parents used to get elderberries, and I think they would pick them wild up in Ogden Canyon. And they would go up and pick elderberries every year, and then they would come home and ferment them. And we used to have about 20-gallon jugs of elderberry wine in the basement. And my mother would use it strictly just in spaghetti sauces and cooking it. And so, I mean, that's the first time I ever got drunk, because I went down and, I'm gonna try the elderberry wine. It was horrible to drink. It was fine in the spaghetti sauce and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just horrible. But me and my buddy Steve managed to drink about half a gallon of elderberry wine.
Yeah.
Awful. It was awful.
Could I visit that rosé that you have, and
Sure.
you can speak to it if you wish?
This is Mike Marron. He is the winemaker here at La Caille. And La Caille is a storied restaurant. We're having a little bit of charcuterie here.
Delicious. These
And
cheeses
it's very, very tasty. The cheeses and all that. You could talk about the food here a little bit as well, I would assume.
Yeah, so I would call the menu at La Caille continental.
Yep.
And
You got to finish your wine first. You have wine in that glass.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah, that's why Mike didn't.
That's
You're
I thought I had finished it.
I wasn't being rude.
Yeah.
Probably because you were drinking elderberry wine.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Used to a blend.
This is much better.
I hope so.
Yeah, let's talk about the food here at La Caille. And
So we have what I would refer to as a continental menu. We have some French food. We have some steaks, seafoods, pasta dishes, occasionally soups and salads. And it's a traditional menu that La Caille's had really since its existence. So there's something on the menu for everyone.
Now I know you had that your chef was Billy Sotelo for quite a while. I don't think he's here anymore. Is that right?
Billy left, and he moved to. He got an opportunity at a restaurant in Arizona, and Zach Howe is here now.
Zach Howe?
Howa. He was here. He worked at La Caille up until about 3 years ago. He left to do something else, and now he's back.
This is, for instance, just this plate here. It's simple, cheese, costini, and some mustards and things. But for instance, this honey mustard or whatever this is just spectacular.
We actually make that here.
I kind of thought it must have been house done. I've not tasted anything quite like it. It's very good.
So yeah, you're right. This is a simple Mediterranean style charcuterie board, classic one that you get, if you order at La Caille, charcuterie board.
And now, let's talk about the rosé now. Now that I've emptied,
And we got to get to the birds.
my
too,
other
outside.
glass.
All these birds they have here.
I asked Mike earlier on, how many birds do you have here, and he said too many.
Do any of them are they attracted to the grapes?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
They're big grape eaters.
Well, anyways,
And the deer are also big grape eaters.
Oh, geez, what
what is your pest control?
do you do? Yeah.
Kind of clap real loud.
We've tried everything you can think of. I won't bore you with the details, but nothing works. The only thing that would work for the deer is to build a high fence, 10 feet at least, which we can't do because it would take away the beauty of the vineyard. So we just let them eat what they want, which is some years considerable, and we just use it as a cost of doing business because there's no way to get rid of them other than a fence.
Yeah. That's I mean, you kind of feel for the deer, and yet you're angry at them at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the rosé.
So the rosé it's also 100% from our vineyard. It's a blend of the Saval grapes and the Dornfelder grapes. There again, made in a French style. It's medium, full-bodied, light pink color, no residual sugar, crisp acids.
Yep.
A little bit of tannins you can feel on the inside of your lip from the Dornfelder, where you wouldn't have that in the Saval.
This would age beautifully. I can imagine like a 2-3-year-old, maybe 3 to 5. Yeah.
We actually have a library we've kept 5 cases of everything we've made, and from time to time we have a library dinner at La Caille and feature those wines. And they're aging quite nicely.
Really? How old's the oldest wine you have here that you've made?
Well, the oldest one we have is a 2016 of the Enchanté.
And it will eventually get drunk.
I think so. I think we only have 12 bottles of it left.
Oh yeah, so you have
we go through it. We're pretty religious about how often we go through it, simply because we still want. We've only been. I've been here. So last year was my 10th vintage, which in the wine world is really nothing. So it's nice to see, how the wines progress in their age, because that's really what I want to do myself, is make wines that are nice to drink like today, a year old, 2 years old. I also will continue to age and then pair with our food.
This is such a remarkable thing to do. There are so many aspects of it that you've just kind of alluded to that people don't think about. The inventory aspect of winemaking, that's something it's like you have to have a library of how to do it. There's
a lot of space.
Yeah, a lot of space and a lot of organization and keeping tabs on things, right?
Correct. And especially because to the state of Utah, we report our sales every month through our package agency and the government through the TTB, the Tax and Trade Bureau for alcohol, once a year. And we have to keep records of daily sales, monthly sales. We send them reports. And so we literally when we do inventory, we count every bottle once a month to make sure it balances with our records that we have, that none's gone missing for whatever reason.
This glass of wine I'm having right here is being reported to the state at some point.
And it's going to go missing real quick in your mouth.
Let's talk a little bit about I'm just noticing the corks. What have you decided on for corkage here? Why corkage? Why not screw tops?
So these corks are these corks are from Portugal, like most corks are. These are the best quality corks that you can buy. They almost have no flaws in them.
It's not synthetic.
Not synthetic.
No, that's original.
That's the original cork. And
It's like from the first punch.
And the bad thing about corks is they can give what's called cork taint to a wine. There's a chemical in it, TCA. I won't tell you what the name is, unless you're interested. But it gets absorbed to the wine, and it gives it kind of a musty, mushroomy odor. And you can't tell by holding a cork in your hand if it's going to be bad. But if you have 1,000 corks, which we buy our corks in lots of 1,000, you're going to find some that are bad. You just can't tell which one it is until you open the wine. So that's a risk of cork. However, from the historical and romantic part of wine, it's nice to get a bottle and pull a cork and hear it and pour it out.
Yeah.
But for you can't kid yourself that screw tops are actually a superior closure.
They are.
They are. And the wine, it's still, even though the reasons wines age for many reasons, but one of them is it gets some oxygenation through the cork. It's referred to as micro-oxygenation. It's kind of hard to get that through a screw cap, but they still eventually, ooze will leak a little bit, not dripping leak, but let a gas in like oxygen. So they do age, but they age slower. But, we'll probably never use, twist tops here simply for what I just said.
Yeah.
But lots of people do, and there's
there's nothing wrong with it.
There's
It's
nothing
just,
wrong with
but
it.
you people like the romance of the cork.
I think so.
It's a beautiful technique in your dinner table side.
And there's lots of restaurants around the world, primarily in Australia, that some of their finest wines have screw tops on them.
Well, a lot of the wines with screw tops are intended to be consumed upon release, right? 1 to 3 years, and that's where you're not going to have those developments of oxygenation.
We've been talking about wine a lot lately. Jimmy and I have and recently more and more. And the question always comes up into my mind: have you ever sent a bottle of wine back that you've ordered, or had a bottle of wine that you've served someone sent back, and how do you deal with that, and why is
me personally,
or both? About you personally?
No, I have personally. I've done that.
You've sent a bottle of wine back.
The first time I ever did it is I was in Italy, and I brought this. It was I still remember it. It was a bottle of some Soave, which is a widely produced Italian white wine, and when they brought it, I could see in the bottle that it wasn't the color I expected.
Yeah.
So my eyes were telling my brain that maybe something's wrong with that wine. So anyway, the sommelier poured it, and as soon as I smelled it, it was highly oxidized, and
You just smelled it and you knew.
Yeah, I didn't even bother tasting it. So I was telling him that it was oxidized, and he told me, no, it wasn't. That's the way it's supposed to be, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, I don't want it. So then a different guy, a server, he brought me out another bottle of the same wine. It was obviously, the color was different, the nose was different, and it was fine. And I think he just basically thought that, I was
He was going to try to get one over on you.
A young American, and
trying to be smart.
We'll sell him this. But as far as at restaurants, I think maybe I've sent bottles back. Other than that time, maybe 2 or 3 times in my life.
I think I have once. I was trying to remember. I think one time, I remember my wife, I forget what wine it was or where we were, but I remember she took a sip of the wine and she said, "This is vinegar. This is not good." And as I recall, there was no question. The whoever served it to us came over and went, "Oh, yeah, sorry, sorry,
replaced it,
sorry," and they brought another bottle of wine. How about you, Jim? Have you ever?
Well, mostly on the service side.
You've had them. Have you had people?
When the guest brought it back, because during the process of serving a wine, the guest orders it. It's not when you do that first sip assessment. It's not to see if you like the wine or not. It's to see if the wine is sound or not. But the consumers in restaurants don't, diners don't get that necessarily. So what we do is we assess it, and if it is off, I replace it immediately. If it's not off, well, I'm going to go get another bottle of wine that's going to be presented the exact same way, and they're going to send that one back too. So what I do, the technique is I bring a new bottle, I set it on the table, but I also bring the wine list and say, this is how the wine's showing. I'm more than willing to open up another one, but I'm concerned that you're not going to like this one either. So I brought the wine list. Should you want to consider another one? Give them a moment, come back. Now, this is one of two things that are going to happen. If they do order, well, they took what I said for their understanding and truth, they're then going to order something off of the wine list. But then there's that guy. He says, I drink this all the time. I know these guys and this and that. And so I'll open up that wine. Even if it tastes the exact same and smells the exact same, I boxed him in. He's not going to send that one back. Yeah. He's like, that's what I'm talking about.
I think sometimes people are intimidated. They're not wine connoisseurs, and they taste it, and it may be off, but they think
they don't know.
This is how it's supposed to taste, I guess.
What do I do?
That's I just don't like it.
Well, that's why in a sommelier role or in a role in a restaurant when serving the wine, as sommeliers will present the wine, then we go to a guéridon, a table, open it up, do a little splash in the glass, merely smell it, and then approach a table and then confirm, present the cork and everything like that. That's how I grew up in this for 8 years as a som. That's what I did every day.
And you have a sommelier here, I would assume.
We do not.
You don't?
No, we haven't had a sommelier
staff's
for
very
a
good.
long time, but we try to keep our staff as educated as possible with our wines.
That's. I mean, I've been to plenty of restaurants where there is no somm, but you can tell that the staff knows kind of. They're pretty on top of it, and you can even ask them for a recommendation. What wine would you think with this dinner we're having? And they're pretty good, I think, about doing it.
So this red is 100%.
It's 100% Dornfelder.
Dornfelder.
It's a German grape, and it's a vinifera grape. It's not a hybrid, and I won't describe it until you taste it. I'll let you describe.
Now this glass is empty.
That's that's for the big boy.
Yeah.
Look at that color, purple,
And
nice, purple ruby garnet, purple.
Is that why it's called ink?
It's
correct.
pretty inky.
Yeah.
You can fill up an ink pen with this guy. Reminds me of Petite Syrah, the depth. Wow. Look at that.
Really pretty.
It's beautiful.
So when we first made this, and we don't make much of it because we use most of it, the red grapes for the rosé. But when we first made it, I called it Chateau Rouge, and we had labels up similar to these labels. And a couple of years ago, the owner, he said, he goes, I want a new name for that wine. Okay. And I said, well, okay, what do you want to? I go, whatever you want to do. And he goes, I want to call it ink. He goes, last night when I had a glass of this, the first thing that popped in my mind is, this looks like ink. Yeah. So that's where we got the name from.
In the bottle it really looks inky, and then when you get it in the glass, it's all right. Let's see what we have here.
Just concentrated red fruit, rhubarb, a lot of black fruit in there, blackberry, black cherry. Very deep and baked and plummy. Wow. A little bit of wood on the back end, which I like.
Not overly tannic.
No, it's if you tasted the first vintage we made of this was 2018, and I made it. Since I'm the winemaker, I can make the wine I like, right? Which is sometimes might not be the best thing to do. Nobody likes it but me.
Well, you've come a long way from the backyard at home.
But it was very, deep and tannic, and it would be like a wine that I used to refer to as, if it doesn't stain your teeth, it's not worth drinking. And The owner still liked it. I liked it. My wife loved it. We only made that first year. We made, I think we had like 4 cases maybe. So we sold a few in the restaurant, but most of it we just still have in the library to see how it ages. But so the next year we started making it a little bit not so tannic, because that particular wine, that 18, it's probably not going to be really ready to drink for probably till it's at least 10 years old, maybe 15. So since we're in the business of selling wine rather than aging wine, I changed it up, and it's I'm trying to make it pretty consistent to this every year now.
It's more medium. I thought it was going to be a fuller body.
I did too.
It's more medium, and love that tannic structure and the acidity, balancing it out. You got a really nice hand as a winemaker. There's always a signature, I think, to winemakers when they can control a lot of the wines that they're making, and your acidity really comes through, weaves through all these selections that you've presented to us.
And the acids in all of these are pretty high, including this one, simply because in order for a wine to age, especially red wine, all wine's true, but red especially because you age them longer, you need to have a low pH. And you really can't get a low pH unless you have a high acid wine. And a lot of wineries can add acid to their must before they ferment, which is perfectly legal. But we don't need to because of the way that our grape. We're over a mile high here, and the ripening season, when the grapes are changing, raising their sugars, dropping their acids, we get a nice what's referred to as a diurnal spread between the high and the low. Really, it's 30 degrees. Sometimes it's 40 degrees because of the altitude. California and Europe and the Mediterranean, they have the ocean and the low sea level. Well, we have, altitude to lose our temperatures at night. And that's really the secret to why this place is a great spot to grow grapes. Do you get
wind effect through the canyon here, just ripping down certain times of the day?
I live at the mouth of Parley's, and we get a lot of wind. We rarely get wind here.
That's interesting.
I think we've had... wind is not good when the grapes are flowering because it'll destroy the little delicate flowers. Other than that, the wind can break off some of the canes, and then you don't have enough canopy for the grapes to ripen properly. But I think I've only been up here a handful of times in 10 years when during the season where I've thought the winds were really bad. So no, we don't get much wind up here.
It must be just sheltered right here somehow because canyon winds are.
Yeah, and at Parley's, we get winds all the time. Yeah, doesn't matter the season.
No, I lived at the mouth of Ogden Canyon
Ogden's bad.
for 10 years or something like that. Every morning, windy. You die off during the day, and then every night, windy. It just didn't matter the season. It just always windy. I got really tired of it. Mike, this is fantastic. La Caille, it's a special event place.
Yeah, it's a lot of people think it's just a special event place, but it isn't.
No.
Obviously it's spectacular for special events, but it's also a great place to come for dinner during the night, during the weekend. I mean, look at this view behind us. And we also, downstairs, we have a new bar, 21 and over bar. We refer to it as La Secret. And
I know what that means. It means in French, the secret.
That's it.
Nice.
So you can come up here and you can go and you can have a drink. You can have an appetizer. If you want to have dinner, you can come up to these spaces and have dinner. So it's, if you just want to come and have an appetizer to La Caille, you're welcome to do that. You don't have to come and have
You come and have the charcuterie and a drink in the bar.
Absolutely. And you get this view, as soon as the weather warms up, we have an outdoor patio in the bar.
Sit out there, yeah.
We're here to sit out. And, you can't get this experience any place in Utah. And, I think a lot of people have forgotten about La Caille. And a lot of people think, like you just mentioned, that it's for a special occasion. Well, as far as we're concerned, every day at La Caille is a special occasion because of what I just said. And so it's a fantastic place. For this to be in Utah is almost hard to believe.
Yeah, it's In the beginning, it was somebody's vision.
Yeah.
And it's been, it has not gone away. It's improved, and
Exactly.
Are the birds self-sustaining, or do you have somebody to take care of it with the feeding? And is there somebody hired just to help?
No, they're not our birds. They're Mother Nature's birds. We
You're
don't.
kidding.
I'm not. We don't take care of them at all. They fend for themselves, as do all the other animals up here.
except for now you told
plenty of them
me.
here.
Except for our swan. We have a swan, a white swan. We affectionately, her name is Julieta, and she's special. She gets fed, so she doesn't have to fend for herself.
She's the queen bee, huh?
But nobody else. They're all on their own.
And they're doing damn well.
They are. I think that they come here and they see this is a nice place to be. And I think they figure, why do we want to fly south? We'll just stay here.
Hey, look, some of my people are here. Hey, I could breed here. I could breed here. This is beautiful. I'm staying. You've got peacocks. You've got quail.
Quail. We have ducks. We have geese. We have. There's lots of. We have cameras at night, and there's lots of wildlife roaming through here. Coyotes, bobcats, foxes.
Well, you think the coyotes would help control the bird population?
Well, they
no
do.
doubt.
They
do they?
And the raccoons too. The coyotes, more so. But it's a balance up here. But every now and then you'll notice that you might have seen we have a lot of chickens here too. People bring and rabbits. People bring them up and drop them off after Easter, I think, because they're too big. But you'll see, habits of some certain ducks, and you might not see them tomorrow. Because there was somebody's dinner last night.
Wile E. Coyote has been by. Let's see. We're about wrap up here. We covered everything. If people want to come to La Caille, what are the hours you're open?
So we're open. The restaurant is open, and the bar are open on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. The restaurant's open Sundays for brunch. The restaurant starts dinner service at 5, and the bar starts at 4.
Always a Sunday brunch, huh?
Always a Sunday brunch.
Yeah, we used to come here every Christmas season for a brunch on a Sunday.
Nice.
We did it for years and years and straight in a row. It's a tradition we should start up again, I think, my family.
It's a nice place to come.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I'd forgotten how beautiful it is driving up that little cobblestone.
Yeah, isn't that so nice?
Movies have been filmed here. People have gotten married, divorced. I've had it.
Mike, thanks so much. This is. I was going to say. I was just looking at this. You've eaten alligator before?
I have.
How was that?
Well, it was in Chile, not the state, the country of Chile, but like chili bean soup.
Oh, I see.
And my friend and I were we were judges at a chili festival for the Utah Arthritis Foundation a long time ago, and. So I think there were like 5 judges. He and I were 2 of them. So we had to pick our favorite chilies. So anyway, you didn't know what was in them. So he and I both picked the same one. And then the fellow that made the chili, he had to tell you what was in it. And he wanted us to guess what was in it. So we went through a repertoire, and I think I said it was chicken. And he's like, nope. Alligator. So that's the only time. So
that's great.
I probably wouldn't have eaten it if I knew. But it was actually really good. If I can remember, that was a long time ago.
And why would you feed your worst enemy? It says here SOS. Does that mean shit on a shingle?
Bingo.
And or anything eggplant. Yeah. Do you know what shit on a shingle is, Dawson?
Biscuits and gravy?
No.
That's an upgrade.
No. It's cream, at least in my house when I was growing up, it was cream chipped beef on toast.
Bingo. That's what it is.
Yeah. Which...
Some people love it.
I didn't love it, but it was, I'd rather have something in my stomach than not. And, and eggplant, people, it's hard to do eggplant right because it's slimy a lot of times. And have you ever had good eggplant in your life?
I can't remember.
You can't think?
None memorable.
No, all right.
Becky's eggplant parmesan, real popular, and then eggplant parm subs. So I have fun with the mozzarella and provolone, little peppers and onions also maybe.
So that you don't really know there's eggplant there.
I guess that's
There you go. You're on my
second
team.
guessing my admiration.
All right,
gosh.
Jim, how about a little splash of news?
Yeah, little splash of news here. In interesting ways to make alcohol news, snake wine. Mm-hmm. All right.
I know about this stuff.
Yep, it's not made from snakes. Instead, a whole snake is steeped into rice wine. Invariably, the snake is of a venomous variety, but it appears that the alcohol in the wine renders the venom harmless. According to a traditional Chinese method, the odd slug of snake wine has an invigorating effect. In another, even more horrifying variant, a live snake is killed while enjoying the snake wine and on the spot, and the blood will be mixed in with the alcohol and then taken as a shot.
I've seen that. Not in person, but I've seen it
A video
on movie. You know,
Snake wine.
I've probably told the story before about the alcohol I had in Japan. Went into this little bar in Japan, and the guy who owned the bar ran the bar. He didn't speak English really, but we had a translator with us, and he says, ask him if you can. He went to his house drink, his house drink, and yeah, and he gets this gigantic jar off the shelf. And it's a clear liquid, and the bottom, and I mean, it's like a 2-gallon jar or something, and the whole bottom was dead bees. And then it was clear liquid, and he poured us a little shot of each one. He strained it so there were no bees in your drink, and we drank it, and it was just like drinking, like carburetor fluid or something. I mean, it was just like, oh my God. Oh. But he was really proud of it. These dead bees in the bottom of it. I said, "What are those? What do you call those? Hachi, bees? Yeah, bee."
Well, complimenting that, ant gin. Ant gin. All right. Not as weird as it sounds. This is all Australian and has bush tucker origins. So green ants, traditionally used by indigenous Australians as medicine, are harvested in the Northern Territory by members of the Larrakia people. It was incorporated into the distilling process by a beverage company in the Adelaide Hills. The ants add notes of lime and coriander to the gin, and the ones in the bottom of the bottle are edible, just so you know. So similar to, for just adding flavor. Hachi. Sounds like that was a bit of a sting, though, with, you see, the bees. Sting. And then the last
That was
one,
the buzz, anyway.
That was the Pruno or prison wine. This one I'm sure from movies. You'd better hope that you never have to or never get the opportunity to drink this. Concocted illegally in U.S. prisons, it's made by saving up fruit from meals and tossing it into a plastic garbage bag. Sweetened with sugar, whether it's a soft drink or even tomato juice. Add some bread for yeast. Hide it from the prison guards and let it ferment. Strain through a shirt or sock and serve at cell temperature. And that's your splash of news.
Mike Marron, winemaker at La Caille restaurant. Thanks for hosting us here. We've had a great time.
Thanks for coming up, and I hope you guys all come back.
You can count on it.
To your passion, man.
Yeah. Yes.
Cheers.
You make nice wine, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, that's about it. Which camera do I look at?
Whichever one's easier on your neck.
Bye. Listen.
Hey, if you ever pour one for you.
Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
One second. 1 second. Remember, if you want to get a hold of us, it's you can just email us, the letsgoeatshow.com or at what is it?
At Gmail.
The Let's Go Eat Show at gmail.com.
Too much wine.
And you can yell at us or say hi or make suggestions of places we
Or
can
join
go.
us at some of our
Ask a
on-site
question.
Yeah, any of that
recordings.
kind of stuff. And that's about it, except for, let me say, remember, if you're pouring the drinks, always make mine a double.
I'll drink to that.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Let's Go Eat and Drink Show with Jimmy Santangelo and Bill Allred. You can contact Jimmy at www.thewineacademyofutah.com. As for Bill Allred, it might be best to just leave him alone. Comments, questions, or angry complaints to the management should be directed to the Let's Go Eat Show at gmail.com. The Let's Go Eat and Drink Show is produced by Dawson Dow. Our theme music was composed and recorded by Doug Wild. Recording facilities as needed are by the Visit Salt Lake Media Center at www.visitsaltlake.com. The show is a Double Plus production. This is your announcer, Zach Caton, saying, okay, listen, Mike, listen, this is not a bit. One of the houses that I lived in when I was a kid was really close to La Caille, and one of the homes in that neighborhood had a peacock living in it, in the front yard. Really covered yard, very pretty. Peacock lived there. Would scream and wake everybody up every morning. And the rumor was that it escaped from La Caille. So if you guys are missing a peacock, I've got a lead.